Good evening. We have extensive coverage on the landslides and flooding tonight. A lot of information to get to, but we start with the confirmation of one person killed in a mudslide with 2 people still unaccounted for.
This happened on Highway 99 between Pemberton and Lillooet. Shannon Patterson has more on the death and a couple who barely escaped that slide caused by the storm of the century.
It was really scary.
The photos on their phone, a reminder of how close Melissa and Dave Medeiros came to being swallowed up in a massive mudslide south of Lillooet.
It was really surreal. Kind of feels like describing a movie at this point. It doesn't really feel like describing real life.
The Vancouver couple was heading home from Kamloops Monday afternoon.
Every route was closed except for Highway 99. We decided we had to go with it and take that route.
Traffic suddenly stopped for a small mudslide on the highway.
At that point, I got out because I wanted to go see how big this mud flow that we were blocked by.
Melissa remained in the car as her husband walked out of sight.
I hear this cracking sound and I turn around and the forest is just like moving and coming down maybe like 30 feet behind me.
I was just kind of frozen for a minute, and then I heard other people start yelling, and then it just clicked that I don't know where my wife is. So I ran as fast as I could back to the car, and luckily I saw my wife honking and just the car pin driving as fast as she could away from that thing.
They managed to avoid the river of mud and debris, but saw several smashed and buried cars off the side of the highway.
There was a off-duty firefighter who really got everybody organized and got everybody gathering chainsaws and shovels and ropes and doing everything that they could to go in and help get these people out of their vehicles. And so there were a few people who came out of their vehicles. One of them looked pretty bloody and knocked up.
But not everyone made it out alive. The body of a woman from the Lower Mainland has been found in the slide.
Tragic. Deepest condolences to the family. A simple drive home gone bad for sure. You know, what more can you say? It's just a tragic event.
I'm also aware of concerns that there may be additional victims in the mudslide near Lillooet. Search and rescue specialists are conducting significant work in this area, and the RCMP will continue to remain involved in these searches.
This is the only road connecting Lillooet to Pemberton, Whistler, and Metro Vancouver. Until it reopens, the community has essentially been cut off. The Medeiroses are thankful they were able to escape with their lives.
Very happy, very lucky to be alive, very, very happy, and lucky that my wife is still here and wasn't caught in it.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Pemberton.
And the storm having a serious impact in the Fraser Valley as well. CTV's David Mulco is live in Chilliwack, which is completely cut off from the rest of the province. David, what's the situation on the ground there?
Yeah, cut off on the east, I should say, towards Hope, and on the west towards Abbotsford here. The evacuation orders, by the way, both in Abbotsford and here in Chilliwack, continuing to rise. About 2,200 homes, so 8,000 people, somewhere in there, 6,000 to 8,000 people in Yarrow, in Sumas Prairie, under evacuation order right now as we speak. Despite those orders, despite the very real risk to life and livelihood, Mi Jung, some families like the Mulders say they're just not ready to go.
From above, Ed Mulder's farm looks like it's about to be swallowed. On the ground, he points out, the source of his troubles.
If it breaks, that dike breaks, then we're hooped. If it holds, we'll be fine.
Why stay? Help me understand.
I guess that's just part of being a farmer.
Because the Mulders have been here since '94, you see, on this vast plain that acts like a giant drain.
Our field would normally be potatoes, and yeah, this water right now, it's filled up.
Inside these barns, 15,000 egg-laying hens, with just inches to go between newly born lakes and disaster.
Everything we do is based on keeping them healthy and happy, and to walk away from it, it's tough.
So this one here is yesterday, and that's this morning.
His neighbors' homes already turned into islands. These herds set free to seek drier ground. The family truck packed with nearly nothing.
What's in there?
yet everything.
Pictures, photo albums, change of clothes.
That's everything.
It's everything that matters. This is an act of God. It is what it is. We see it on the news all the time in other places in the world, and this time it's our turn. That's all.
A massive evacuation remains in affected Abbotsford tonight as the torrential rain turned parts of that area into a flood zone, shutting down Highway 1 and leaving people in need of rescue. CTV's Michelle Murrow is live in Abbotsford with more on the situation there tonight. Michelle.
Yeah, rescues have been ongoing today. Now, behind me is a park, but if you can see the light reflecting off the water, this park looks more like a lake. The water swallowing up this park as it has so much of Sumas Prairie. About 1,100 homes evacuated, and this isn't over yet. It's hard to believe the farms, the homes, the properties, the livelihoods, all underwater. Sumas Prairie not looking like farmland, but like a massive lake. Those forced to flee stunned by how fast it all unfolded.
Within 2 hours, we went from water coming around the house to, 2 feet of water surrounding everything. We were trying to keep things together, but within minutes, everything just began up and floating away.
This is the overpass at Whatcom now. Last night, this is what it looked like. Cars submerged as roads turned into waterways. Boats with search and rescue and police trying to rescue people in a dangerous and fast-changing environment.
We had, one member had to throw in a life jacket and swim out or wade out towards a car that was overturned to bring someone back, and that was just almost on a regular basis for about 2 hours there of cars that had flipped over, people on the roofs of cars.
Families forced to flee their homes being cared for at an emergency evacuation center in Abbotsford.
This is an uncertain and scary time for people who are affected.
Many people stuck Monday night as the highway shut down. Meanwhile, 89-year-old Agito Zanardo has lived on Sumas Prairie his whole life. He says he's never seen it this bad. His daughter is saying the flooding making a difficult time for their family even worse.
Devastating. My mom's in the hospital and my dad's not well, and yeah, we don't need it. It's a real tough time.
Abbotsford's mayor says as waters from the Nooksack River in Washington state continue to push across the border, the farming community is coming together.
There are people with power boats hauling cows out of their barns to Highway 1 to dry ground.
But the worry remains high because no one knows just how long this crisis will last.
Okay, Michelle, what is the latest on the rescues there tonight? Are they still happening into the evening?
Well, we know that late this afternoon, early this evening, there was a rescue that took place. And, a really frightening situation for these people. I just spoke a short time ago with a woman. She is a senior. She lives in the Whatcom Road area of Sumas Prairie with her husband, who is in his 80s. When the evacuation order came down last night, she says it was already the water too high for them to be able to escape on their own. She says they've been trying to get rescued ever since. She said boats tried to get to them, but the current was too swift. A helicopter tried to get to them, couldn't get to them. Late this afternoon, a boat was able to get to them. She says it took more than an hour to get them through the water and to safety. They're at the evacuation center tonight. They are safe. They are grateful to be out, worried about their animals, worried about what tomorrow holds, but grateful that they are out of there. Scott?
Okay, Michelle Bernaro live with the latest on the situation in Abbotsford tonight. Thank you, Michelle.
It is a long road ahead to repair the major BC arteries battered by the unprecedented atmospheric river. And right now, Vancouver is cut off from the rest of the country. Sinjin Alexander has been looking at ways to travel east. And Sinjin, really the only way to drive to the interior and beyond is through the U.S.
Exactly, and we're trying to find a way to get to, say, Kelowna, and one of the most common routes, as you know, is likely Highway 1. It's often the fastest, but it is closed, completely flooded between Abbotsford and Chilliwack. Another option, taking the low-heat highway past Mission Dewdney, but then just before Agassiz, Highway 7 is also closed. The gorgeous, long, scenic route past Whistler into Kamloops is also no good. Just as you reach Pemberton, Highway 99 is closed to Lillooet. And of course, here is why. These are the images we are seeing all over the province. In Abbotsford, it's a waiting game. That water has to recede. Then they will go in, see how bad the damage is, and figure out what needs to be fixed. There are crews everywhere doing the same kind of work, trying to assess, but these images show just how hard it's going to be and why really they can't give us firm dates on anything, really on when these roads will be open. And so a quick look using GPS. The best way to Kelowna by car at the moment is through the U.S., 8 to 12 hours. Don't forget about the border waits. And sure enough, we spoke to a woman from Vernon who's been trying to get home since Sunday, but is stuck near Highway 99.
No idea how to get there. I've got work, like I'm messaging work constantly. Sorry, road's closed, can't do it. Next update's at 11, next update's at 12. Oh, it's awful. It's just like, there's so many tragic stories. People are suffering all over the place. They're getting helicoptered out. People are losing their homes. The trailer home that was floating down the river. How tragic.
Our maintenance contractors have gathered all the heavy equipment they can. They are ready to clear roads. They are waiting for the signal of when it is safe to do so, and on many of our highways. We fully recognize how important it is right now in British Columbia to reopen the road connections from the Lower Mainland to the interior to get supply chains moving again.
And that is a priority, we're told. They hinted that Highway 3 is likely the route that will open soonest. That's the lower highway, of course, that takes you through Manning Park and through Princeton. But before then, Highway 1, of course, in Abbotsford would need to reseed and open first. Mija.
All right, thank you, Sinjin.
Well, the slides and flooding that have shut down those major routes indefinitely, as Sinjin just mentioned, have also left many travelers stranded tonight.
1,100 evacuees are stuck in Hope, and while work is underway to create an access road for now, there's no idea when people will be able to return home. CTV's Maria Weisgarber has that story.
I think the hardest bit is just not knowing when or how we're going to get out of here.
It's a waiting game for travelers left stranded by flooding and slides.
We're getting SMS messages from friends and family with horrible pictures of roads in any which direction.
Mar Muller has been sleeping in her car outside the Hope Esso truck stop and says dozens of other vehicles are there too.
We opened up the restaurant at night for people to sleep and stay warm. I think all the hotels are sold out for tonight. People are not sure when they'll be able to get out.
We were able to reach Manning Park, and luckily we got a room. Somebody was kind enough to allow us to stay in his room.
Before reaching the park, Harpreet Singh had also been sleeping in his car.
There was a landslide and we were stopped over there. It's been now 2.5 days. Nothing has happened and a lot of us are stranded over here.
The province says Emergency Management BC is working with the Wildfire Service to bring more food, water and cots to Hope. In the meantime, local businesses, churches and other facilities have opened their doors.
I think we ended up with about 250 people coming.
This lodge near Hope, usually part of a church-owned summer camp, is now sheltering and feeding the stranded, along with evacuees from the Lytton fire, who still haven't been able to return home.
Maybe wasn't five-star hotel worthy. It probably was a lot better than being in a car at night.
And in Hope, a local pizza place has been giving away food to those in need.
They've been super grateful. For one person I know, he said he hasn't had food for 26 hours.
Even with some supplies running low, the family-owned business hopes to keep going.
We ran out of food completely yesterday, so we're trying to resupply for today. And whoever comes in, we're just trying to help them as well.
Bringing hope to those still waiting to go home. Maria Weisgarber, CTV News.